I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1. So first of all, ladies and gentlemen, why is proposition going to abolish the primary and middle school years that group children based on age? First of all, we're going to have, before we get into the argument, we're going to understand the context here first, right? So schools here are in status quo. Schools are actually grouped on their age, right, based on their age. For example, primary schools are going to be based on 5 until 11, and middle school are going to be from 12 until 15. So with knowing that, we need to characterize the children, our main stakeholder here, which is the students and the children, right? So just like humans, children are humans, right? Humans are diverse people with different levels of intelligence. With knowing that, we need to understand that children have different learning methods, they have different learning mechanism, and they have different pace to be able to actually understand a specific thing, to understand a specific subject. So but with that out of the side, we actually know that age does not determine the level of intelligence of a certain individual. Now, second of all, we need to understand that school is a place to learn and thrive, right? Especially in primary and middle school, right? This is a place where children are supposed to learn the most base of knowledge, right? So if we are going to use a system as ineffective as age grouping system, not only will this be harmful, but this will also be something that will hold back most students and actually create an unhealthy dynamic within the schools. Right now, we need to now why as proposition actually regret the status quo. First of all, it is going to create an unhealthy dynamic within a class. How is this possible? First of all, because let's talk about it. In a class, most of the students are either high or low performing students, right? Which causes a dynamic that could actually be and is proven to be harmful. How is that possible? Because high performing students are most likely to be more prioritized by teachers because they are the ones that are most able to understand and catch up to the subjects that are being taught. In contrary, the low performing students are going to be the students that are most likely to be. In contrary, the low performing students are going to be the students that are most likely to be neglected, and actually because of that, because they could not have the ability to catch up with the students, right? Now, because of that, it is going to make them create and grow some sort of dependency towards the smarter students for homework or a test or exams, right? Now, that is one of the unhealthy dynamics. It is also going to create an unhealthy competition within the class itself. And also the high performing students are going to overshadow the low performing students. That is why the neglect could happen. Now, second of all, why regret status quo? Teachers are going to have a hard time trying to give an equal teaching mechanism towards each individual students, right? Because we need to understand, acknowledge that teachers, just like students, have different teaching methods. They have different teaching mechanisms. So it is going to be very hard for them to be able to give a proper mechanism that is going to suit each individual students, right? And third of all, unequal chances for each group of students. How is that possible? Because we need to understand the high performing students don't actually get what they need. How is that so? Is because of their age, these type of high performing students are not going to reach their full potential, right? Let's make an analogy here. An 8-year-old child is in a class in primary school, is in a class where the main dynamic there is going to be still in a phase where they are more focused to play around and have an average percentage of understanding a matter, right? But this certain 8-year-old child actually has an intelligence regarding counting, like math, that is similar to a 15-year-old. So, right, that means like they have like such a high potential. They have like an easy way to count. They actually have such a great potential to become a better person, right? But because of their age, their potential is going to hold back, and because they're going to be forced to learn the things that they, of course, already understand. That is one of the negative sides towards the high performing students. Right now, let's talk about the low performing students. The low performing students are not only they're going to be pressured to catch up with the high performing students, they're going to be pressurized to learn at a pace that they are not comfortable with. They are also going to be quite neglected by the teachers. How is that so? Is because they are, of course, like they aren't going to be able to catch up with the student with the main subject, right? And because of that, these type of low performing students, they aren't going to have the chance for them to actually become a better human being, to become a better person, educational wise, right? So what are we going to do about this? So our main goal as proposition is actually going to minimize the overshadowment within these classes, and actually instead to cater these students based on their level of understanding, ability, and also competency, to create a better quality for the education system. And why is this going to be better? Is because of 4 reasons, right? And simplicity going to be 4 reasons. 1, it is going to be able to give the proper chance to each group. 2, more potential students can actually accelerate their progress. 3, low performing students can actually have a steady step-by-step learning mechanism to allow them to thrive at their own pace. And 4, it is going to reduce the chances to prioritizing and deprioritizing high or low performing students in classes, right? Now, for further elaboration, 1, to finally be able to give a proper chance to each group. By doing this, high-performing students, like what I've stated before, is that their potential is getting held back, right? By actually pursuing with this motion, it is actually going to give them the proper way to finalize their own full potential, for them to be able to become someone that they could actually be, right? And also, for the low performing students, they're going to actually have a chance to finally have a great way to be a great way to become a person that they could also be, but in their own each paces, right? Second of all, more potential students can actually accelerate the progress. Just like the first point, this second point is actually going to talk about how these high potential students are actually going to finally be able to actually accelerate the progress, because they're going to learn much more subjects, and they're going to actually compete, learn, and study based on their ability and based on their competency, right? Now, third of all, low performing students can have a steady step-by-step learning mechanism. By actually pursuing with this motion, these type of low performing students, we need to understand that in most cases, these type of low performing students are actually seen as people that aren't really as like lazy or as I'm sorry, trigger warning, dumb, right? Because they don't have the certain pace or the average pace, and also different learning methods towards a certain subject, right? But by doing this, low performing students can actually have a pace to study in a pace which they are much more comfortable with, right? And they're going to actually, and this is going to actually minimize the pressure to catch up and be like other kids their age. And third of all, they're going to thrive in their own comfortable ways. Now, finally, it is going to reduce the chances of prioritizing and deprioritizing high or low performing students, right? Because of this is actually going to be able for them to have much more within them. Right now, we need to talk about how are we going to do this. First of all, schools will have a background check for students to be able to collect information. So because of this is going to allow grouping system. Second of all, tests will be done based on academic understandings. And third of all, personalities within the students like MBTI, in order to group them with people that will match them the most. And that is all for my debate. Thank you so much.